Aloha, everyone. We're the City and County of Honolulu's Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency, also known as the Resilience Office for short. My name is Caitlin, and I am joined here today with Jason, Kealoha, and Maya, who are also from the Resilience Office. We just want to thank you for joining us for the Oahu Food Systems Plan webinar, our second webinar. We're really excited to share the work that has gone into the plan so far and walk you through how you can provide your input. So before we begin, I'd like to go over some housekeeping. So we do ask that all participants stay muted during the presentation, and then we'll have time for questions and discussion at the end. But please do feel free to drop your questions in the chat throughout the presentation, and we'll keep track and also bring them up during the Q&A session at the end. So mahalo again for being here and taking the time to engage in this process. I will now pass it over to our Executive Director, Dr. Kealoha Fox, to get us started.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. Ano ai me ke aloha kako. In January 2021, the Honolulu City Council passed Ordinance 20-47, which helped to establish the Food Security and Sustainability Program and directs the city to create a comprehensive food systems plan. This Oahu Food Systems Plan is a result of that effort and represents the city's first coordinated approach to strengthening our food system across departments and with community partners. This plan is focused on action, and so is our team. It provides a clear framework for how the city will support food system efforts over the next 5 years through practical, achievable steps while building stronger partnerships across Oahu. It's designed to support and strengthen the important work already happening in our communities and neighborhoods each and every day. Mahalo to everyone who has shared their time, knowledge, and mana'o throughout the process. And I would also like to ask for a special thank you to the Food Systems Plan team and our Food Security and Sustainability Program staff for their dedication and hard work that bring this plan forward. At this time, I'd like to turn over the presentation to our team so that they can walk us through the plan and the work ahead. E pu pa'akai kako.
Thank you, Dr. Fox. So to start, we wanted to share a quick overview of today's purpose and agenda. So I will pass it over to Jason Sean, our Food Security and Sustainability Program Manager for the Resilience Office.
Thank you, Caitlin. The purpose of today's webinar is to introduce the draft of the Oahu Food Systems Plan and walk you through how you can provide feedback using the virtual Conveo platform. We'll start with some background and context, then cover how to navigate the plan and how to leave comments. And that will take about 20 minutes, and then we'll close with question and answer, which we'll have about 30 minutes for. To make this easy for everyone, and for those of you who may need to leave early, here are the key points that we want everyone to take away from this presentation. First, public comment is open through June 30th. All you have to do is go to resilientoahu.org/foodsystemsplan. And number two, that the Oahu Food Systems Plan is an implementation-focused action plan that defines the city's role in Oahu's food systems over the next 5 years. And we'll unpack this more in the coming slides. But first, for those of you who may not be familiar with our office, the Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency, or the Resilience Office for short, was established by voters in 2016 through a city charter amendment. Our role is to coordinate climate, sustainability, and resilience efforts across the city government while working in partnership with communities to build a more resilient Oahu. And this includes program areas like energy, coastal and water systems, hazard mitigation, climate equity, and in this case, food security and sustainability. Caitlin?
Yeah. So let's start with why does food matter? So if we take a step back and think about the big picture, food is really about pilina. Pilina in Hawaiian means connection or relationship, and our relationship with food is a strong reflection of the pilina we share with each other, to Aina, and to our culture. So this pilina also implies a shared responsibility, or kuleana, to care for Aina, to support one another and sustain future generations. Our food system, the way we grow, share, and eat food, is therefore a demonstration of how we as society care for our land, our water and communities. And through this plan, we hope to weave together the strengths, capacities, and responsibilities of the city to support a more resilient and connected food system. Next slide. Yeah. So now we bring in the system. So we can take a moment, we're going to take a moment to clarify what we actually mean when we say food system. So as shown in the diagram, the food supply chain is at the center, including steps like growing, processing, distributing, access, and consumption of the food. Surrounding them are important factors. Food is deeply connected to these factors, such as community well-being, public health, affordability, resilience, local economy, environmental stewardship, cultural identity, and many more. But these are just a few. These factors both shape and are affected by the supply chain. The food system also includes the people, businesses, and organizations involved in all the areas and the interconnections between them. So it's quite broad. When we think about food systems in Oahu's context, we know that we face many challenges. So here are a few. So food insecurity and the cost of living are at the top of everyone's list of concerns, and how Oahu relies heavily on imported food, which makes us vulnerable to supply chain disruptions and rising costs. Our local farmers face ongoing barriers like access to land, labor, and capital, while food waste makes up 20% of our waste stream. 5 of the top 10 causes of death in Hawaii are diet related, and there are low levels of household emergency food preparedness. So we're not going to provide a comprehensive assessment of our food system now, but we all know that the list can go on. There are so many important things that we could be doing to address these challenges. So now I'll hand it over to Jason, who will share more about the importance of this plan in addressing these issues.
So government responses to the food systems challenges that Caitlin just listed can sometimes be siloed across many sectors and agencies, making coordinated action difficult. And so developing this plan has many benefits. For the first time, it establishes a truly citywide, interdepartmental vision and structured approach to food systems issues. It gives us an opportunity to consider the city's role in the broader food system, and more specifically, the role that each department can play in strengthening it. It also increases clarity and transparency by showing what the city is already working on and what it plans to do in the near to medium term. The plan supports better communication, both within the city amongst departments as well as with community partners. And this is also an important step in building trust and accountability. And finally, it can also help to strengthen grant applications and other efforts to fund and implement specific actions. I want to repeat something I just said because I think it's a really important point in terms of setting expectations for when folks read the food plan. And that is about the city's role. A key question guiding the development of this plan is, what is the city's role in strengthening Oahu's food systems? And we have to acknowledge that the city is one of many actors in the food system. Other key actors are the state, community organizations, private sector, the charitable sector, and residents. The city cannot address every single issue at scale, but it does still play a unique and important role. So when we consider what the city's role is in the broader food system, yes, we want to incorporate thoughtful goals informed by community input, and we need to ensure actions are grounded in the realities of city operations. Put very simply, this is not a 50-year long-term vision for all actors in the food system. Rather, it's an implementation-focused action plan that outlines specific things that city government can do over the next 5 years. Here's a look at the planning process. When we began in 2022, it was very important to us to respect the time and expertise that community has already shared with the city through meetings for other planning documents. So we did a comprehensive literature review of 29 existing city plans and key documents, and that provided a really critical foundation. We also did several targeted outreach initiatives, including 3 mini food summits, outreach at community events, meetings with key food system networks and stakeholders, an online public survey open from December 2024 to summer 2025, and our EKI art contest, in which we ask residents to share art inspired by a food system related olelo no Oʻahu. And you can actually view those art pieces on our website below the draft plan. In October 2025, we transitioned to a more writing intensive period to begin drafting the plan. And we began meeting with key agencies to ensure, as I mentioned earlier, that actions in the plan are grounded in the realities of city operations. We asked the city's graphic designers then to design a rough draft of the plan, and that is the version that you see today. So as you peruse the draft, you'll notice that neither the text or the design is finalized, and that's the point. We've entered into the second phase of public input from May to June with a true working draft. We felt it could be helpful to lead to productive conversations if we offered something to analyze rather than just asking open-ended questions. And so during this phase of public input, we're asking for concrete and specific feedback on the plan. Feedback could be broad or it could be very specific, like phrasing, grammar, or focused on a specific action, or suggestions for the graphic designers. And we'll be spreading the word far and wide through social media, newsletters, news releases, events, and community outreach, our Climate Change Commission briefing, and other targeted outreach. And we'll also continue talking internally with key departments. After the public comment period is through, we'll enter a period of revisions based on the input we received. We'll create the final plan and then seek approval from the city's administration in September. And then we'll proceed to the council adoption process with the goal of having the plan adopted by City Council in December of this year. Moving into the plan itself, this is how the plan is organized. At its core, it's guided by 5 guiding values: Pono, food and nutrition security; Malama Aina, environmental sustainability; Aina Aloha economics, local food economies; Ea, food sovereignty; and Olaloa, long-term resilience. These values are aspirational. They reflect the characteristics of a place-based food system that the community envisions for Oahu, and that's based on our understanding through listening to Aina-based organizations, community partners and leaders, students and residents. We're not trying to claim that the city can fully achieve or fully embody these Indigenous values. Rather, we include them as part of a good faith effort to ground city actions within a framework that respectfully aligns government operations more closely with the needs and priorities of Oahu's residents, while acknowledging the responsibility we share to the Indigenous people and values of this Aina. Within the 5 guiding values, there are 10 strategies and 71 actions that outline what the city believes its agencies can contribute meaningfully and in good faith. I'm not going to read every strategy right now, but we'll show you how you can explore these strategies and actions on your own time in a little bit. Here is an example of what an action looks like. You can see it's pretty short and sweet, and that's intentional. We wanted to keep it concise and accessible. At the top, you'll see the action title and which strategy it falls under. The first number is the strategy, and the second number is the action within that strategy. Below that, the why this action section explains the purpose and why it's important, and the ongoing and future work section outlines what's already happening and what the city plans to do moving forward. And at the bottom, we intend to list the departments responsible for helping implement the action. The lead agency is listed first, followed by collaborating agencies and other agencies that might act as thought partners. However, due to the Kona low response, not all agencies were able to review every action. So for the purpose of this draft plan, we opted to remove the agencies. Meetings and discussions with these agencies remain ongoing and will continue through July. And for the final plan, we fully intend on making sure each action specifies which departments will support implementation. Some actions also list critical partners outside the city. And that's a brief overview of the plan. So I'll pass it back to Caitlin to do a run through of how to comment.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, so I will show everybody how to leave comment and use our Conveil platform. So you can access the draft plan at our website, which we'll share in the chat. again. I will share my screen. All right, so you can find the plan on our website under Action Food System Plan if you're coming to the site without the link, and it'll take you to this landing page. So when you scroll down, it'll show the public comment platform, and you can enter it into full screen. I'm gonna enter in for the demo purposes, but if you for your use, you can enter full screen. When you first get to the plan, it'll pop up a summary. So it's basically just a how-to. You can always revisit. You can toggle between the bottom, between full document and summary. When you click summary, it'll pull it back up. You can hide it. And on the bottom, you can zoom in and out to the document for accessibility. And we can start from the top. So you can scroll through the plan just as is, but we want to emphasize that it's a very interactive document. So when you go through, you can click through the different links like at the bottom or through the table of contents. You can click to different sections that you want to go to. So you can click to background. So what is a food system? You can go to the strategies and actions, and how Jason mentioned, these are our guiding values and the strategies that live within them. You can click if you want to look in Malama Aina, strategy 3, and then it'll pull up all of the actions. So from strategy 3, reduce food waste and waste from food chain, you can go to action 3.4, reduce commercial food waste, and then it'll show you this is the example action, why this action, current and future work. So when you want to leave a comment, you can click on where you see you want to leave a comment. It'll ask you to put in your name and email, and then you can type in your comment. Be sure to check which comment type you're leaving, and then you can post your comment. So as Jason mentioned, the graphic design is also a draft, so you can leave comments on that as well. We do want to mention in some sections, like the mayor's message, there are pins that we put internally, so these still need to be addressed while we're developing our final plan. When you go on the plan as well. So there'll be these little comment bubbles everywhere. So this top one or the bottom one can like move the comment bubbles out of the way. So while you're viewing the plan, they're not in the way. And if you want to see what other comments people are leaving, you can hit that top comment bubble and see comments that are also already existing on the plan. So we do encourage you to go through and go through sections that mean the most to you and leave your mana'o, any suggestions or questions, and then we'll incorporate it as we're developing our final draft or our final plan.